This is the G Podcast with your host, Tommy B.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 226 of This is the G Podcast. Yes. What's up, y'all? I'm Tommy B. It's another Black Music Month 2024 discussion, this time from a Black music executive perspective. Good friend of the show, render Brad Davison. We call him Brad. Each week, of course, we do news, politics, pop culture, and that piping hot tea with Tonya B. So we throw in Brad in the mix this week. Tonya B has your tea. Syracuse Mike has your news update, and the Newsmaker crew's here to leave and buy. And of course, me, Tommy B. So let's go ahead and get into news with Syracuse Mike. Mike, what you got?
News team, assemble!
It's time for the Week in News with Syracuse Mike.
Hunter Biden was found guilty on all three charges in his Delaware federal gun trial. This is the first time that the child of a sitting president has been convicted of a crime. Special counsel David Weiss led the case after a failed plea deal and said this after the verdict.
No one in this country is above the law. Everyone must be accountable for their actions, even this defendant.
After the jury decision, in a previously scheduled speech Tuesday, President Biden addressed gun safety.
It's time once again to do what I did when I was a senator. Ban assault weapons.
The president did not talk about the verdict. The Supreme Court ruled unanimously Thursday that a group of doctors lacked legal standing to challenge the FDA's regulation of the commonly used abortion pill, mifepristone. Access to the medication will continue nationwide. Basically, the court said, in part, just because someone doesn't believe in the use of the drug, it doesn't mean they can make that the reason to stop others. The legal fight over the abortion pill could continue with other plaintiffs.
Thanks, Mike, for the headlines. Yeah, we are here, man. Episode 226 of This is the G Podcast. Talib is here. Vi is here, and I'm here with a special Black Music Month guest. And we'll talk to him in just a minute. But fellas, unmute yourself real quick. I got to ask y'all, Mike just did the report, and I do have to ask this quick question. I'll go to you, Talib. You think it was right for Caitlin Clark to be excluded, man, from the Olympic squad because we hadn't gotten to her? I just want to ask, just real quick.
No, I don't think it was fair if she has the stats and the talent, which she does have the talent. I don't know, man. To me, it just seems, politically correct.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna go to you, Vi.
No, she don't belong on that team.
And Vi, I'm gonna go with you. Hell no, because we're just gonna have to get to you next week to leave.
Yeah, that's cool. That's fine.
Because we're on guest behavior. Guest behavior for the guest. Even though I don't really consider him a guest, but he is a guest on the podcast. And one more question, y'all, and I'll start with you, Vi. Is Hunter Biden going to jail?
Yeah.
Is it country club jail or real jail?
It's country club jail. He might get the stay at home jail, or wherever he going, it ain't gonna be the real jail. He's gonna be still living good.
Like Trump jail.
Trump jail. He's gonna be living good. He's gonna be Trump jail. He's gonna be in jail, but he gonna be probably living better than 75% of people in this world.
Okay.
Maybe
all
90%.
Right. Okay. What about you, Talib?
Yes, definitely jail time. I see him getting sentenced to a year. He'll probably do about 3 months with good behavior.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I agree with you. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you, fellas. Thank you so much. I had to get some politics and news in there before we start talking music, so I appreciate y'all, man. And let's go ahead and let me introduce our guest, man. Welcome to the show, Brad Davison. Again, episode 226. This is the G Podcast, and really it's a pleasure to have Brad on the show. He's a true vet. So I'm going to talk you up, Brad. Music
Thank
industry. Hailing from
And you're
Inglewood.
right, I'm not a guest. I'm family. Come on now, we go back, so I know where the food at. I can go into the refrigerator if I want to.
You're right. Hailing from Inglewood, California, man, joins us today. He's in LA. Brad's journey, man, in the industry started at Morehouse. And I got to ask you, Brad, what was it like coming from Inglewood to Morehouse, man?
It was culture shock. It was, it's like this. So I didn't want to go to Morehouse at all. My cousin went before me. My girlfriend was going to UC Irvine. I was supposed to go to UC Riverside. I changed my mind at the last minute because it didn't seem like it was going to work out at Riverside. And I hated it. I was like, where are the cake parties? Where are all the girls running in and out of the dorm? I had never been to private school in my life. Morehouse is like a glorified private high school. I mean, it's a great college, but the setup, at least back then,
oh, you saw the West
it
End.
was like, huh?
You saw the West End.
Well, no, that part wasn't culture shock. And the other thing, too, was, you know, I went to school with a lot of guys who grew up in the suburbs.
Okay.
I didn't grow up in the suburbs. I was like, I had enough of going to black schools. I want to try something different. So I was like, I don't need this experience, but I don't regret it at all. It's like probably the greatest thing that my mom made me do.
Well, it worked out for you because you went on to intern for Warner Electric Atlantic, you know, which is now, I think it's Warner Music. Then you went on to work for, you know, after the Morehouse experience, you went on and the internships, Virgin, Atlantic Records, and I knew you at Jive Records, Loud Records, Blackground Records, Capitol Records, Columbia Records, RCA Records. So damn, it worked out for you. Definitely the best thing that happened to you, man, for your career. And you've worked, and this list, this isn't all the artists you worked with, but A Tribe Called Quest, R. Kelly, Aaliyah, Beyoncé, Alicia Keys, a whole lot more. We'll get to them later in the interview. But and you run your own marketing promotions business called Render Records. You're a realtor in LA, and happy Father's Day to you, man. Weekend. You got 2 kids. Congrats.
Same to you guys.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So to all the fathers,
we get the big piece of chicken this weekend.
Absolutely, bro. We got it. I got a little steak this year, so I'm happy. Yes.
Wow,
something went right. Yeah, it's a splurge. But Brad, appreciate you, man, and let me go ahead and give you the applause, dog, for coming in. I really do.
Oh, you know, I love this kind of stuff.
LA time, you know, Saturday morning as we tape Father's Day weekend. Appreciate you, man. So, you know, you and I kind of started, I started in 90, and I think we started around the same time, even though, you know, you're a few years behind me, because I started my music career in Atlanta at about 90. You know, Brad, you were like, I don't know if you were doing the Virgin thing or the Jive. You had already become the Jive rep.
Not in 90. I got that job in 91. So I was India and 2 other people's assistant in 90.
India, shout out to India Graves, who was cool as hell as the Virgin rep, took care of us on the Janet Jackson side. And Brad also knew Talib, you know, in his time doing music. Who was all, you know, Talib was a big part of the music scene. So Brad, it's been a long time, man. And let me just mention some names before we kind of get into the questions I have, and you just give me a couple of sentences on your experience with these folks. I'll start off Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Did a 5-day promo tour with them. We started in Atlanta. We ended in Florida. They were so nice, so excited. I think it was the 2nd season of his TV show. I think that was, you know, it was still kind of fresh, Prince. But we had a great time. They were so much fun. That was in 92, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as you remember, we came to your morning show, and we remember what happened on that morning show.
Yeah, we were doing, I was doing the morning show, producing the morning show, and doing the music for the station. And Brad bought Fresh Prince, Jazzy Jeff through, and that's the time when he said, I won't say it's derogatory, but he just told the truth about what happened to Aunt Viv, and Aunt Viv requested the tapes and took him to court. So that's what started that mess between Will and Aunt Viv. That time they came by the radio station, and I'm telling you, Will was willing to spill the tea. It was like, we asked him, he said, well, you know, what happened to Aunt Viv? And he broke it down. And he said, yeah, I don't mind telling you. I don't care. Okay. All right, so Alicia Keys.
He was very candid. It was you guys' fault.
Yeah, because he was so cool in the studio. That's why when people talk about the slap and they talk about Bad Boys doing so well, my only memory of Fresh Prince of Will Smith is from the time we spent with him, you know, in that situation, and he was cool as hell. Alicia Keys, man.
Probably the nicest one that I ever met with. I think, you know, you had asked me before, like, you know, who was nice and whatever. And I said, typically it's the handlers that are, you know, problematic typically. Now, whether or not they're doing it because the artist told them to, I don't know. But that said, she was the nicest to me, to everyone else. Just super gracious.
And she comes across that way now.
She does. I always remember how she opened up that Grammys the day that Kobe died. And she set the tone. And it was amazing how she was able to come out there. She was like the mother.
Yeah.
You know, she got that motherly instinct. I guess she's got a few kids, so I guess she's got it. So
yeah.
She was the best. She was really, really pretty.
Oh, yeah. Did she have makeup on, man?
She did, you know.
But she was wearing the makeup back then, though.
No, so I only worked with her a couple of times. I wasn't around early on. I was at RCA, and you know, this was the second time I did any promo stuff with her was that week before the Grammys, and then I met her at the radio station, I guess, on the previous album, which would have been, I guess, a couple of years before that. So. That was, somebody asked her about that. She, you know, I think she looked, I don't think she had on makeup, but really nice woman. Very beautiful person inside and out.
Excellent. Okay, take a deep breath, man. R. Kelly.
Okay. Didn't deal with him a whole lot because he blew up so fast. I don't know if you remember, we did a, R. Kelly and crew versus V103 in a basketball game.
Yes, I remember.
Remember that?
Absolutely.
So that was one of the times I dealt with him. I mean, that was so early on in his career. By the time he got to I'd say before the third album, probably some point in the second album, he kind of didn't do a lot of promotional stuff anymore. But I will say this. It used to be our job to go on the tours and take people backstage to meet him and take pictures. He was always gracious. I was always taking radio guys like yourselves. You know, we want to get a picture with my wife or my daughter or whatever. And he was always super gracious. The other stuff, I didn't like hanging out too much at a point. I got married and had kids and was tired. And so I wasn't going to the club and seeing what I heard what was going on. I wasn't going to the after party. I was going to the hotel and going to sleep.
I got you. And you know what? I will tell you, your boss, Larry, who I knew Larry before Jive, when Larry was doing independent stuff with Warlock,
I think.
He was working for Warlock. And I called him once. We were trying to get him, you know, we did the event for Sisters Only. And I think I called him and asked him.
We took him. We took R. Kelly.
Did he did he perform?
He didn't perform. He went through. And I remember one of your bosses sent me a lovely thank you letter. He just went around and did like the handshake meet and greet.
Okay, it was a meet and greet thing.
I think it was the first for Sisters Only,
yeah,
I think
it was the first. Because after that, they recommended we not do much with it.
Uh-oh. Well,
it was later on. You don't really want
I remember Ryan tried to get me on the air to say something when the word came out that they had gotten married. And I think I hung up the phone on him because I didn't know what to say. I really didn't. And I didn't really, to be honest, on God, I didn't know till I don't know, when everything started really blowing up on him about 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they really had gotten married. I really didn't. I didn't believe it.
And you referred to Aaliyah. How was your experience with Aaliyah?
The girl next door, the ultimate girl next door. She was, I mean, everyone was in love with her. Yeah. every man, you know, because I got to do a promotional thing with her when I worked at Jive. She sang the national anthem in Orlando, and it was the week that they had supposedly got married. And I took her to the 102 Jams the day that she was singing the national anthem at the Magic game. And my boss, Larry, said, okay, you got to tell Monica May, who was the DJ. You guys might know Monica, the on-air personality.
I remember
that. Monica. She can't ask about Monica's great. She can't ask about getting married. So I was like, okay. So, and I was real green, and I was a horrible regional back then. I didn't know what to do hardly, but I went to Monica. I was like, Monica, you can't ask about that. She was like, well, then don't bring her on.
Wow.
And I didn't know what to say. You know, I would have thought much quicker on my feet years into having that job. So I was like, come on, Monica, you're going to kill me. So she was like, well, then don't bring her on. I can't have her on my show and not ask her what everyone wants to know.
Yeah.
So she goes on. Monica was super lovely, super pleasant. She goes, so come on, tell us, girlfriend, what's going on with this wedding and stuff? And Aaliyah, cool as a cucumber. So she thought quicker on her feet as a teenager than I did, and was like, and it was her birthday. She goes, I just turned 16. How could I be married?
Wow. And
then Monica let it go.
I got you.
And that was it.
Got you.
Yep. So she never said yes. She never said no. She never got upset. She never sweated. It was like someone had told her if it comes up, or she knew she was perfect. She was perfect.
Good. Beyonce.
Again, only dealt with her a couple times. Very lovely, very gracious. I worked the Sasha Fierce album. That's the only project I worked on. I did, of course, radio promo, and met her at New York radio to do radio. She did a few interviews. She didn't do much because she was, what you guys know, once they get to a certain point, they don't do that much stuff.
Yeah. But
she did do New York. She was lovely. It was the week single ladies had gone to #1. I handed her how USA Today prints out the media base chart on
absolutely.
Tuesdays, and I said, do you want this? We just got to #1, and I was super proud. It was my first #1 because I was the head of a department, and she was like, yeah, I want it, and she was just great. She was great. And then I met her one other time, and she was great.
And I got to mention this group, man, because this is what I remember you for back in the day. Tribe
I know.
Quest.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like we were all kids. I was maybe 2 years older than they are, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I was a horrible regional. I didn't know what I was doing, but they were mad cool, and they were my favorite group. When we got out of college, me and all my friends, we were obsessed with them. We were obsessed with people's instinctive travels through the paths of rhythm. We all listened to it like crazy, dissected it. I got a promo before I worked at Jive. Someone had given me a promo wallet. I left my wallet in El Segundo wallet.
Oh, wow.
But we were fans. I'm still in touch with Ali. He's got this company called Jazz is Dead, and they do some dope shows, and they do a lot of stuff to support jazz artists. And I stayed in touch. Remember, Fife lived in Atlanta.
Yep.
I was in touch with him, went to his house once. Really nice. So super sad about what happened to him. But yeah, that was my favorite group. Still my favorite group. My favorite rap group of all time.
All right, to hurry the list because your list is long. I'm just going to mention a couple. Maxwell.
Again, dealt with him a little more than those other ones.
Because it was more the Sony. This is more the Sony years, right?
So I promoted the first part of the Black Summer's Nights trilogy. So
that's later in his career. Yeah.
But fortunate enough that, and no pun, fortunate, but Pretty Wings, I worked that record. It's probably his biggest record. I'm super proud of that. And he was cool. He toasted me at a party for doing such a great job while I was there. He set a record, the first artist to have 1 and 2 on the Urban Adult Radio Airplay chart in the same week.
Mm-hmm.
But he was cool. We worked him. He had been gone for 7 years, and he did a lot of promo that he probably hadn't done since his first album, and it paid off. And he was a trooper. He did a lot of stuff.
This is the last one on my list, but I do want to ask you one more about you're working with a lot of these artists. Were you ever in the same room with Sade? Just the same room?
I was. Okay, so you mentioned I worked at Columbia. After I'd been there for like 8 months, they asked me to work Epic's records. That was kind of their sister label. Epic at that time didn't have their own staff to support their records at Urban Radio, so they used to hire independent people to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They asked me to do it because I was, we were upstairs from them. And this is probably one of the most embarrassing moments in my career. We had this great party for her at the Rose Room in Lincoln Center. Great room, great venue, this wall of glass overlooking Columbus Circle. And I was kind of the host. The president of the company was really the host, but they were all my clients. They were all people from Black radio from all over the country. Most of them had never met her. Some of them had, because she didn't really do that kind of stuff. But she did it. Again, after being gone so long, we got her to put in a little bit of work. they introduced me to her like in front of everybody, as if to say, this is your guy who's promoting your record, and these are, you know, go meet every blah, blah, blah. And he goes, Sade, Brad. And she was standing less than a foot from me, and I screamed a little bit. It was so embarrassing. Listen, I felt like a bitch. I know you can bleep that out.
Yeah, no, I know.
I wished I could have reached
hey,
her.
Brad, I would have been right there with you. I would have been,
Listen, I reached, you know, I wished I could have wiped it off of her shirt. Like, that's how it felt. Like I'd spit up. I was so embarrassed. But she, as everyone knows, is the coolest person in the world. She acted like she didn't even hear it. She was like, how are you, Brad? Real deep voice, by the way. It was kind of freaky for a second.
She's like Prince. She's like the,
listen. And then I met her again, and she thanked me. You know, Soldier Love was her only #1 urban adult song. Yeah. You know, and a lot of people said it wasn't their favorite song by her, but we did it. And I met her one more time, and she thanked us all. And that's probably the person I would want to meet the most outside of, you know, Barack and Michelle. Wow. At this point, you know, people that are alive, you know.
I hear you. So man, let me ask you, and just after you mention and you think about all the experiences, you had mentioned the best, you know, maybe Alicia being, you know, the most pleasant. And I never want to get friends or put my friends in an awkward situation with you, okay, being a friend. But
Jim Jones, he was an asshole. No, I'm just kidding.
Just cut to the chase. But you know it shows. Talib, do you agree?
We got in an argument once. It was fine. I don't hold it against him, but we got into an argument once, and you know, I was like, really? Like, Pop Champagne was #1. You mad at me? You know what I mean?
But why am I not surprised it was him? I'm not surprised. Because Too Short would have been real cool.
He was fine.
E40 would have been real cool of all the hip hop artists I saw on your list. You know, when I saw, or how are the Clips? Because you dealt with the Clips, right?
Real cool. They were really cool.
Because they were from Virginia. They were from VA, right?
They were very nice, very nice. And the times that I ran into Pusha after that, he was very pleasant. Like, hey, how you doing? You know, good to see you. You know, but yeah, they were cool.
Cool, very cool, man. That's good stuff. Let me hit, man. And I know you got all the pics, and you know, your kids must be proud. It's good stuff. I mean, that's why, you know, Black Music Month is so special, man, to a lot of us, because especially if we worked in the business, we had an opportunity to not necessarily always work with them, but just to be in a room where you could have a conversation with them. It was pretty amazing. You know, Brad and I, we were talking about the 90s, and fellas, jump in, you know, as we go through this conversation. And I consider really, for my generation, even though I love the 70s, I love the 80s, the 90s was probably one of the golden age for Black music. And the reason I mentioned that, and I was telling you, Brad, because I think you misunderstood the question when I first, or my comment, you know, I think the technology, man, gave a lot of people access to the reality of how they were really doing in the, you know, like, we had not to go into too deep, for those who aren't in the business, there was a system called SoundScan, which came into play, which accurately actually scanned, and we do it today, when you scanned your music at checkout, that information went to everyone, you know, so everybody got access. So it was no more gatekeeper, you know, as you mentioned it, and you said it perfectly, Brad, there were no more, even though that you continued with it, you didn't have the label priorities, you know, that were there. Right.
It wasn't on, before SoundScan, it was on the honor system.
Yeah, it was on the honor system. And, you know, the honor system, I'm not going to go into that, but, you know, that's another podcast. But it leveled the playing field. And on the radio side, we had what we call, you know, broadcast data system. There's a different name for it now. But it still exists. The company still exists. So airplay was monitored, you know, through a satellite. So all these things took the subjective, it made things more objective. So you could see artists who technically, who wouldn't have been #1, all of a sudden hit the #1. You know, before the 90s, it was pretty subjective. It wasn't as objective as we say now. So from then, Brad, you starting in the 90s to now, how did you see the evolution, or how do you feel, or where do you feel we are now? How different is it now from where it was when all that started?
Well, now a lot more people have access, which I think is a good thing. And then, of course, there's always, the bad side of that. Well, there's no bad side of it, but now to me, it's that kind of makes it even harder to break through, which I think unfortunately is why, the one thing, we all could sound like our parents and uncles, sounded when we were into what we listened to when we were teenagers and stuff. So, the music that's coming out now, some of it I like, some of it I don't. Of course, we know that's subjective. What I don't like, though, I do feel like a lot of the urban artists, the female rappers, and I like some of them, I really do. But it's like, it's all about getting attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so the attention drives your streams.
By any means necessary.
By any means necessary. And the reason I mention it is because if it were all genres, I wouldn't say this. So, you don't see Taylor and Olivia Rodrigo and them running around naked, on every video.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not against it. I'm just saying, like, to me, it's like, it's a little bit like, what do I need to do just to get the attention, to get the record heard? Or if it is even about the record, it's hard to even tell, but that bothers me. And I only think that our genre is dealing with that. You know what I mean? That's why it bothers me,
I agree. I don't think the powers that be would allow it. I think it comes from the top. The top has control.
It comes from the top.
The top has control for those who aren't independent to control that, and they prefer not to, and it does kind of, irk me a bit too. And it
irks me. And like I said, because to me, it again, some of it is good, even in spite or it doesn't matter what they look like in the video. Some of it still is good, but it's so pushed. It's so prominent now that is what's popular.
Do you think
to be butt booty naked?
You dealt with Doja, right, early on. Am I correct?
Yes.
So how does Doja compare if you compare it, like when you first started dealing with Doja to where we are now with the female rappers?
Okay, so this is another one. Just did a few promotional appearances with her on the album that had Juicy.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say I was there early on because she was kind of popping before radio caught on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
she had a pretty good fan base. And to me, it's her and Nicki. They're the best female rappers, in my opinion. And it's them, those two, and then everyone else, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
I feel like she's got a skill set that a lot of the ones that I'm talking about, don't have. Now, she wears some skimpy stuff too, whatever. But you know what I mean? Yeah. I wish more of them could be like her in the sense of the musicality.
Yeah.
And this, she can spit like nobody's business, and then she could sing, and she writes great. The lyrics aren't all about, whatever. You know what I mean? They're a little more thoughtful in certain times, especially like a song like Woman, or so I wish that more of them could. But again, I do think sometimes it comes from the top. So, are they given the opportunity to branch out and not just make it all about hypersexualization or in terms of the men violence and I got this and if I see you, I'm gonna shoot you,
Yeah.
And I listen to some of it's fire. I like Freddie Gibbs, but like it shouldn't be the only thing that's pushed out.
Yeah. So true.
Like you should be able to go find it if you want to, the same way you can go and find, the latest by Black Thought. They don't play them on the radio, but you can find it. You know.
Yeah, I hear you.
But I think what's promoted and pushed out to the masses is like it's all the same. So, like I said, I have a problem with. I think our genre is suffering from that.
I got you. I'm gonna go to you, Vi. You had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, the only problem I have with well, not a problem. I worry about the women who is their music. How are they gonna have longevity when they start losing their looks? Their body's not as tight, and because that's what they selling. So if they're not investing their money or saving their money, what they gonna do when they start getting their 40s and 50s?
Good question.
Listen, I agree. I think that's the point, is that if you're only doing what's hot for now, as opposed to building a catalog, so that you can still tour.
Right. Because I don't see
it is.
I don't see that music having longevity. I don't see when that person age group get like 40 and 50, are they gonna still want to listen to that music? Because I am the grandpa on the porch, I guess. I still like the 80s and 90s music. My kids still like the 80s and 90s music. I wonder, are the kids gonna like that music when they get my age? Are they gonna be able to connect with it when they start? Because they mostly talk about sex, eating, hitting it from the back. So when they get in their 50s and 40s, are they gonna be able to connect with their music like we connect with our music, even though it's old music, but we connect with it and the young folks connect with it? Because from my experience, when you go to the weddings, most of the weddings, they play our music.
The classic stuff.
They play the classic stuff.
Well said. That's, to me, if you're an artist, that's what you should be doing your best to do that. Maybe some of them think they are, and maybe some of these songs will, but I feel like most of them won't. I really do. I just feel like
that's how I feel
like most of them won't.
Well, let me say, man, when I was, early part of hip hop, when I started, we were talking about, it was interesting because I'm dealing with an executive from the company, from the radio company. And she comes in and she says, the first thing was, because we were starting to play hip hop more, as you know, Brad, we, hip hop wasn't being played during sun up, it was really only being played at night and weekends, and during the rap shows. And
except for like Salt and Pepper or Jazzy Jeff and I remember that.
Summertime. So as you start integrating more of the hip hop into the mainstream, the question was, even when we were doing this, what we consider the clean stuff and the classic stuff, there was a belief that it was disposable, if that makes sense. Even right. That music, our music was considered disposable. Like the hip hop then was disposable.
Yeah,
they were saying like there's a classic rock station, there'll never be a classic hip hop station. It just won't survive.
Yeah, I was thinking that I was going to say that next. Yeah, maybe they will feel that way about their music when they get that age. I don't know. They might feel that way.
Well, if you still rocking that, and are you 50, 60?
Well, like you said. Like you said, when we listen to that music at our age, our parents or the people that generation saying this music is not going. Who's going to listen to me when they get age? But we still listen to it.
Well, we just got to wait and see. I'm with you. I'm with you, bro. When I hear
look, Rapper's Delight is still around. The Message. There are songs that I'm sure the parents and the older people were like,
Brad, but they're not good.
No. I'm saying. I know what I'm saying is I'm saying our parents about some of it were wrong, and we will probably be wrong about some of it as well.
Yeah.
And I can accept that it's not for me. They're not making it for me. I don't accept is that I feel like it's all about how do I get attention, and I'll do whatever I have to do to get attention.
Right.
That's my problem with it. It's about that. I have a problem with that.
Well, let me say, I'll put it in perspective. It's the shock value, okay, that you talk about, because even, a quick example, Howard Stern, right? He's given up a lot of the stuff he did that actually made him famous.
Oh yeah.
And he said it publicly that I gave that up because I was wrong. A lot of
I don't want to be mean anymore.
I don't want to be mean anymore.
He matured.
I don't want to be coming out here in blackface racist anymore. Even to the point where, he's an anti-Trumper and a lot of people are like, damn, you ain't the Howard Stern I grew up on. So I think you get to that point in your life when you start having kids and things change for you, where you get to a point where it's just like you come to a realization that it's just not good for you anymore and you move on. And I think a lot of these artists, I think they're going to get to that realization. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, Brad. I think it's already starting to happen with some of them. Because I'm noticing.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Because I'm noticing they're trying to do different. They're trying to do different types of releases. When I hear some of the songs that come out, they want to change, but people are like, "Oh shit, we don't like that. Can you do the first? No, we want the first. We don't want that.
We don't want that. That's not what we want to hear.
We don't want that. We want what you did when you first came out." I'm gonna come back to you, but I do want to ask while we're on rap. You know, you worked with a lot of these hip hop artists, Brad. You know, Tribe, Too Short, Mobb Deep, E40. You know, Mystical. I don't know if Mystical is even. He's still serving time, I think. Keith Murray, Clips. It was just a special era, man. You know, and you've already said where you define now. Now I know you've got the female rappers, but outside the female rappers, how do you define where we are now in hip hop? If you had to give it a name or a position.
You know, I don't know what the name would be, but it's the number one genre of music. So
are we still
that's
in trap?
a good thing.
Are we still in trap?
I mean, everything has a trap drum beat. I don't know. Talib? I don't know.
Yeah, Talib's moving around, so he may come back. But you're right.
I'm not sure if we, but you know, I mean, it is R&B, urban, mostly. I'm sure it's more hip hop than R&B, but then R&B as well. You know, you see a lot of really big R&B records that, you know, seem to make their way through. It is the number one genre. I will say that. I don't know what the name for it is. Again, I know all of it ain't for me, and some of it is. So,
because a lot of it,
they are doing something right, you know. But you know,
if you recall, you know, we went through the SoundCloud phase. You know, the SoundCloud rappers. We went through the you know, I think, you know, it's kind of post trap. I just don't know. I don't know where we are, and I know we're getting to that point now, right? As far as age, where we've kind of moved beyond it. But it's just interesting to see where we are, you know, and what this is. One more thing, man, I do want to ask you, and just in general, and we didn't talk about this, but I do want to get your thoughts. When you hear a lot of the revelations, man, that come out about Diddy, and I know you didn't necessarily work with him, and I don't expect you to say anything specific on this, but what is it? What do you feel when you hear a lot of these revelations that are coming out?
You know, of course, it's disappointing. I mean, I did an interview a while ago rolling out, and I called, you know, this was over 10 years ago, and I said he was one of my heroes, you know, him and Jay-Z and these guys that have started these companies that have gone so far beyond making records that is the goal, you know, should be to be businessmen and entrepreneurs. So it's sad. No, I never met him. I never worked with him. I actually saw him at the branch, you know, where we were. Jive was at the same branch that Arista was at, and they came through there with Biggie, and I think he was with them. But I saw him in Atlanta back in the 90s. But yeah, never knew him or anything like that. But it's sad, man. It's really sad. I feel for you know, everyone involved. You know, those women. My heart goes out to him. So I don't know what to say about what happens with him. That's not for me to say.
Yeah.
But I do pray for the women, and there's a lot of family members involved, and it's all of that is, you know, there's a lot of people that are affected by this.
Yeah.
You know, I'll just say that.
So true. So true. So, man, last question. I do want to get your thoughts, because you have a label. You're working with different artists. I know you work with Nabate. You and I met through. We've known each other for a while, but Nabate's a friend of the show.
It's a great. I didn't even know that. That's great.
Yeah, Nabate's the freak, man. I mean, sports, from sports to the podcast to jazz. I mean, he's a hell of a guy.
No, he's the only one to stump the Schwami.
Yeah.
On ESPN, like he is.
Dude, he's a phenom. I mean, you know,
and a composer, and yeah, he's ridiculous.
Yeah, phenom. Yep. But one of the things, man, AI. When you look at the future of the business, and I use, of course, you know, when we do production and we do some AI tools, and I'm here to tell you, the growth of it, the ease of use, it's amazing. And I've you've heard these tracks that have come out that are sound alike tracks of these artists. Does that scare you a little bit, man? Or what do you think about where music is heading? Because this is something that we've never dealt with before.
It's scary, but I have a friend, Talib mentioned last week he played a remix by Def Jeff. Def Jeff is making these amazing songs on AI. I don't think it's just for fun. Mm-hmm. I enjoy it. He
did the remix of Beyoncé.
He did that.
Texas
Yeah,
Hold'em.
that wasn't AI related, but he's doing like what people are, he's making songs that it's not a real person, and it's kind of cool sometimes. So,
but you can't do an AI tour.
There you go. There you go.
You can't take AI to the club.
I mean, I use ChatGPT. I do.
Yeah.
It really helps you write things out and answer questions, and I would be, the worst thing would be that we don't have real people making real music, and I think that'll never be replaceable. Mm-hmm. I think there will always be that need. People will know, Yeah. I don't know how good AI is going to get to fool people, but it's just more technology just coming at us, just always something new coming at us. What are you going to do?
Yeah, so true.
You know?
And real quick, man, and I've got to acknowledge the fact that, when Brad came around, again, the 90s, man, it was so different when it came down to executive. You had so many black executives, amazing black executives who had power to really control and stay on top of the industry. And I just don't think you have that anymore. Am I correct in saying that, Brad, compared to when you were around?
You definitely don't have as many head of black music. That thing is almost disappeared. There's still a few. Mm-hmm. There's just a couple of presidents, thank goodness. I know I just saw an interview with Larry Jackson, who runs Gamma, making comment about that, and he's right. Like, if we have the number one genre, then you feel like there's a little bit of imbalance. And I've always said this when in terms of having other people promoting, working, signing hip hop, non-black people, I don't have a problem with it, because music influences everybody. You can't stop that.
Yeah.
What I have a problem with is like, you don't get. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, when you got to have people, who ethically and morally want to protect the future of your music, and that's where I'm talking about. There may be some people, because they only look at the profit. If you're only looking at the profit, then you'll let AI take over a genre. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I agree, but what I was saying is, I think it's again, I hope that their integrity is intact and they really do it for music. But I wish more of us had opportunities to work in country and rock and pop. Yeah. That to me would be that would make it a little more fair, and I think that's what people are speaking to, now, in terms of this is the number one genre, which makes it, guess what, pop.
Yeah.
It just does.
Yeah, it was always
not dictated by top 40 radio.
Yeah,
but dictated by what's popular.
Yeah.
So if it's the number one genre, that means that it's reaching all kinds of people.
Yeah.
So just, there should be some more, I think, seats at the table for black executives because of that.
Yeah, I agree.
If not before, for sure now. And you still got Sylvia runs Epic, and you have I think there's
Sylvia
Tunji's at Jeff Jam,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's awesome. But to Larry's point, where is the head of one of the big, three?
Yeah.
Sony,
and that's
EMI,
what I'm
sorry, Sony, Universal, Warner.
Yeah.
There's not even, I don't know if there's anyone even at, close to the top that I know of. I could be wrong, but and again, I'm not saying that these other people shouldn't be there, but what we're saying is this is the biggest genre.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
And I got to say, I just had to say that, man, and hope. Well, I don't know. It's been a conversation that we've been having. Hell, going back to even when we started, going back into the 70s and 80s. It's always been there. So, hey, man, with that, I got to say thank you again. Brad.
Thanks, man. Can I give out my handles?
Oh, dude, absolutely. Go ahead and tell people, because you have a label.
Render Records. Mm-hmm. You can find me on Facebook, Render Davidson. Also, I know you call me Brad. That's my middle name. I go by that. And also on Instagram, FNG Music Biz. F as in Frank, N Nancy, G girl Music Biz on Insta.
Excellent, man. Make sure I have that. Go ahead and send it to me, and I'll make sure it's in the notes as well.
Oh, will do.
And I got to shout out, man, because I remember you and your brethren back in the day, because y'all were like the Brat Pack. I had to watch.
We were.
I had to watch the Brat Pack, because hell, I grew up with that. Back in the day. But y'all.
Come on, John Hughes is.
You, Parrish, Johnson, Rodney Terry.
Yep.
You talk to those guys, man? You ever talk?
I talk to Parrish all the time. I haven't talked to Rodney in a long time.
And Parrish was part of the definitely responsible for the Migos. Am I correct?
Yep.
So y'all were like the Brat Pack when I was.
He promoted them. We were like the youngest ones that were doing it back then. The regional radio promo reps. We were the youngest ones, and everyone else was in the game. But that's why we got in. I think at that age, because they, people knew the music was changing. It was just a lucky thing for me to get there with Jive, and they knew they only had young music. Pretty much, they weren't in the business of the Anita Bakers and stuff like that,
Yeah.
So,
and I remember Alan.
They wanted young people.
Yeah, I think Alan Cole may have been right in your age range.
Alan Cole, Alan Mannerson.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Al won't talk to you.
Well, then a few younger, and then a few people that so we were like between 23 and 26.
Yeah.
And then by the time we got to 26, then some more like 26-year-olds came on, but we were definitely like I don't know if there were any younger ones than us that were doing that job, and most of the radio guys were, grown-ass men and women, so it made sense that a lot of those people that were doing that job were right along with them,
Yeah.
But and some of them are still there, which is amazing, it's really amazing.
It is. All right, man, I appreciate you, Brad Davison. Y'all give it up for him one more time. I'll make sure I have
thanks, man.
the notes, man. I really appreciate you. You got to come back, because it's an ongoing thing.
No doubt. I want to talk politics, man. I want to talk about I love all that, man.
He listens to the podcast, so he knows how we get. You can come back after how about coming back after the debate? Because there's going to be plenty.
Whenever you'll have me, anything funny, Nathan, I'm all in.
Oh, here we go. Brad, appreciate you, man.
Fonny said, I drink wine. I drink goose. He drink red wine, so you better blame it on the goose there.
Do it.
Blame it on the Henny.
So okay, last, and you can roll, man. But I do. Do you think Hunter's gonna get jail time, man?
I heard y'all ask that question. Does Hunter get? This is what I'm not sure about. Does Hunter get Secret Service or no?
No, he doesn't. No.
He doesn't.
They'll probably have an extra security detail because he's connected to the family, but no, he doesn't get for life. No.
That's just kids that get that, or
no? I mean, I think.
Well, anyway, I don't think he'll do. I think he'll get in the most to be like house arrest or something. I don't think they're going to send him to jail.
Yeah, he's going to be wearing the ankle bracelet. Yep.
And I think if that did happen, that the father would pardon him, especially if he doesn't get reelected.
Interesting. Okay.
That's what I think.
All right, y'all. Love your feedback, positive or negative. Appreciate you. Check out our episodes. Love your thoughts. Go to castropolis.net. Choose the people poll. You can leave a voicemail, and I'll play back the best. Go ahead. Let's take a break. We'll come back with the tea with Tonya B. Again, Brad, appreciate you, man. Take care.
Thank you.
More. This is the G Podcast after the break.
Celebrate Juneteenth with the official 2024-25 Black Music Month calendar. This one-of-a-kind calendar features your favorite R&B, blues, and Southern Soul artists' birthdays. Artists like J1, Lenny Williams, and Roy Chip Anthony, and more. Order your calendar now for just $9.99 at ImpactTickets.com. That's ImpactTickets.com. Order now and get bonus gifts, a Juneteenth concert rally towel, and 3 Team Airplay compilation CDs. Order your Black Music Month calendar for just $9.99 at ImpactTickets.com.
Now then, children, it's time for tea.
It's tea time, y'all. Sipping the tea with Tonya B.
Here we are once again, and it's time for tea, children. It's your girl, Tonya B, right here on This Is the G podcast. Let's get right to it and sip the GT. First, I want to say to all the dads, granddads, uncles, mentors, happy Father's Day. All right. Now we got to start out with a rest in peace to the angel of the night. That is one Angela Bofill. She has gained her wings after a series of strokes. Since 2006, her health really declined, and her daughter made the announcement that she passed away on Friday. Will Downing posted a very heartfelt tribute to her on his Instagram. They worked together, and Angela wrote one of his biggest hits, the song I Tried. We also have to say rest in peace to NBA legend, Mr. Jerry West. He was not only a player, he was a coach, a mentor, a scout, and his silhouette is the actual NBA logo. That is amazing. Speaking of NBA, former player Iman Shumpert, he and Teyana Taylor were the cutest couple. They were the power couple, then they split up. I think they're divorced, and now word from the curb is that he has already gotten another woman pregnant. He must be friends with Carmelo Anthony. Brandy and Monica each won their Grammys for The Boy Is Mine back in the 90s. Now, there was talk of a feud. Who knows if it was or wasn't, but now they are grown women. Pop singer Ariana Grande has covered the song The Boy Is Mine, and you can catch the two of those ladies in the video. Juneteenth celebration. The Juneteenth celebration at the White House will be hotter than fish grease this year, featuring Patti LaBelle, her BFF Gladys Knight, Billy Porter, and gospel's #1 hype man, Kirk. Glory, glory. This is the year of Usher. Sold out Vegas residency. Sold out tour. He's gotten over 350 awards in his career. He's part owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he recently went to Capitol Hill this week to use his voice as spokesperson for the One Pledge campaign to advocate to lower the cost of diabetes medication and also to advocate for early antibody testing. His son has type 1 diabetes. There are tours and there are tours, and this fall you better go check out Maxwell, baby. October London, October the King, and Jasmine Sullivan, because people are through with Anita Baker. Can you say help yourself? Go to YouTube, check out Shaka Khan's NPR Tiny Desk Con. Oh my goodness, that concert is something else. Now Flavor Flav said he's determined to save Red Lobster. He's a new spokesperson for their Crab Feast promotion. Will it backfire like the shrimp promotion? Will anybody even go back to Red Lobster? I call it dead lobster. And with that, I say, not me. Shout out to the young man who's a member of the Four Tops, not an original member, went to the hospital. When he said, I'm with the Four Tops, they thought he was crazy. Put him in a straitjacket. And when they realized they were wrong, they offered him a $25 gift card. Dumb donkey of the week. It's your girl, Tonya B. Don't forget to check out the G Podcast each and every day. Follow us on Instagram. Check out the YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget the Birdwire on Castropolis.net. On demand 24/7.
Thanks, Tonya B. Thanks, Vi. Thanks to Lee, and author and political analyst Harold Michael Harvey. Thanks to the crew, Millennial Nick, Lady J, Regia, music by K-Dub, all those who help us make it happen every single week. Don't forget, y'all, subscribe and turn on notifications for all new episodes. A big thanks to Brad Davison. Thank you, Render Brad Davison, for stopping by. Gotta have you back, Brad. Please come back. I know you're gonna come back and do the politics with us soon. Give the gift to YouTube, y'all, in 2024. We need subscribers. Go to at This Is the G Podcast on YouTube, or you can just go to castropolis.net and you can see the embedded YouTube. Just click that and you can actually subscribe from our website. Okay? With that, episode 226 is in the can. Have a great week, everybody. Peace and power to the people.
You've been listening to This Is the G Podcast. This Is the G Podcast is a production of the Castropolis Podcast Network. Thanks for listening.